Good evening everyone and welcome along to League of Europe. We are here for more F1 2021 action. It is Season 6, Division 1, round number 16 of the Championship. Of course, we'll be taking the Japanese Grand Prix from the Suzuka International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you to the stream as always on a Saturday night. Joining me in the commentary box, of course, will be Mark, Mr. Old School, of course. He is running a little bit behind schedule, but I'm sure he'll be joining me very soon indeed. Let me run you through, though, before we obviously get going into the action out on track, the driver's standings coming into tonight, and it was a race actually filled up with a lot of drama in the end, and it was of course Justas who took the win. Really good form as of late, second position of course in Mexico, won Azerbaijan last week, so he is obviously now fourth position in the championship, which I'll come on to. Montana finished second in that race, and in third, really good result actually from Rocco, and he deserved that third position as well. His first podium actually since Hungary round 9 of the championship, so well done to Rocco on that. Montana of course wrapped up as champion. He leads the way, 240 points. He cannot be caught, of course, going into tonight. But the battle for second is on, and Verstappen can wrap up second position tonight on 151 points he's currently on. 31 points is the gap. So if Verstappen outscores Neo by, well, basically by as many points as possible, he will finish second in the championship. If Neo then outscores Verstappen, however, and he needs to, counting up the gap, it needs to be 7 points ideally that Neo has to outscore Verstappen by to keep the fight alive going, of course, into next week. Neo in third on 120 points. Running through the rest of the field, Justas in 4th on 114, Daniel 5th on 104, Rocco in 6th on 100, with Campbell 7th on 81, Nathan and 8th on 80, Cantera 9th on 78, and Dylan in 10th on 63 points even. Yildirim in 11th on 56, Wuta in 12th on 55, then it's Jensen Hypern is around off the top 15, Larkin, Vaporizer, Alphatrix, June, Repowers round off the top 20, Stephen and Yul Mamas have also picked up points so far this season. But Montana obviously wrapped up the championship. The main focus is, of course, second position. Can Verstappen outscore Neo tonight? Or can Neo actually try and bring the fight to the Haasman, of course, coming into tonight's action here in Japan at the Suzuka International Circuit? Let me get up for you as well the team standings, if I can. My documentation is not up at the minute. Mercedes leading the way on 339 points. Haas in second on 232. Mercedes have wrapped up the constructors as well. We can guarantee you that now. It is more, obviously, than the points that are still up for grabs so far this season. I think the maximum number of points you can get is 86, plus the fastest laps, that'll be 88 in terms of the points. Mercedes have got more than a 100-point lead, so Mercedes have already wrapped up the constructors, 339 points, Haas in second on 232, Aston Martin in third on 200, Red Bull fourth on 163, Ferrari in fifth on 153, McLaren in sixth on 132, Alpine in seventh on 88, Williams in eighth on 80, AlphaTauri ninth on 71, and Alfa Romeo in 10th on 45 points. And as my co-commentator gladly joins us, I may as well ask him the first question. How are you tonight?
Right, because I'm old, I've had my booster jab. And we just get it a bit early here. So, Bill Gates has uploaded, hopefully he's uploaded a new firmware update, so I'm actually better at this game. But who knows?
Who knows indeed, but it's good that you've got your booster jab, of course, and I recommend certainly everyone to get their booster jabs when it becomes available for any age range in whatever country, of course, you live in. I know rates are a little bit different to what we are in the UK. I think my booster jab's due next month, if I'm not mistaken, so hopefully everyone can get vaccinated along with that. But as I was saying there, Mark, Mercedes obviously wrapping up the constructors. That battle for second, though, Haas and Aston Martin, 32 points separating them. Aston Martin, if Neo can outscore Verstappen tonight, could set them up for a really good title fight going into Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to be on the back foot because they're two of the... I mean, there's a lot of in this division, but obviously a very big wheel track. Sector 1 is just... I'm jealous of all wheel users pretty much for this sector. It must feel amazing on a wheel. On a pad, not so much. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see if Neo can obviously keep up his recently found form.
Yeah, we're both in the pad factory, by the way, in the commentary box tonight. I'm also on a pad, and I can certainly say that the track is terrible. On a pad, the curbs really fling you off, and we'll be surprised if we don't see any safety cars tonight because the curbs are that deadly, of course. Around here at the Suzuka International Circuit, 5.8 kilometres and then 3.6 miles, 27 laps, of course, waiting the drivers out on track, with, of course, the only DRS zone being down the start-finish straight. But as we've seen in the past around here, that sole DRS zone can provide a lot of overtaking opportunities, and of course Dunlop Curve can prove a lot of in terms of the opportunities for overtaking. I remember Schiaparelli going around the outside of 3 drivers there last season.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, he's a man that goes for a lot of them, so every now and again they work. Most of the time he ends up in the wall, but that one was particularly amazing. That was something special.
It was something special, and honestly, I think if we can repeat that, if we can repeat, obviously, the action from last season around Japan, it could be set up to be a very good race. As we mentioned, of course, Montana wrapping up the championship. He has already done. He could do it last the first challenge, as he nearly did actually last week. He obviously won. He obviously finished second, I should say, in Baku last week. A bit of unfortunate luck in the final safety car, but he will be one of the first men, I'm sure, out on track. In fact, Campbell, I think, is the first man out on track, the Scotsman, on a set of medium compound tyre, and it's not surprising that he is out on this set of medium compound tyres, because medium's normally the better tyre to be on for their opening laps.
Yeah, a lot of the top guys do this. I mean, I must confess I don't, which is probably a leak in what I do, to be honest. But they just get a feel for the track. I think they like having that spare set of softs just in case there's a safety car. Yeah, and quite a few do, but quite a few don't as well. Because the thing is, it's quite hard to hook up a lap around here.
It is quite hard to hook up a lap, certainly. I'm for sure have really struggled around here. I think in F2 in Japan, I really struggled, if I'm not mistaken, this season in the F2 Championship. And these curbs, as we mentioned, are absolutely deadly. One ride on the curb, you're really seriously going to be thrown off. And if you don't have a downforce setup on, you're going to be ending up spinning into the wall. I know I've seen in TTML last season, drivers have ended up spinning coming through turn 3 on this game. So that might be the area where, of course, safety cars get deployed from. Obviously, we are expecting, I would assume, safety cars coming into tonight. Campbell, though, is the first man out on track. He is now coming up in toward 130R. Corner, of course, that can be taken at nearly 200 mile an hour on this game. But now Campbell preparing up for that. The Scotsman, no pressure from the Scotsman as we now come through the Casio triangle of 16 and 17. I'll turn off the timing tower to the left-hand side, so you can now ride on board with him on this 5.8 kilometre lap that he's about to set. Campbell starts across the line then, on the run down in towards turn 1. Nearly 200 mile an hour will be reached, of course. Senna and Prost crashed here in 1990, I think it was. And they obviously, it happened immediately. Hopefully it doesn't happen immediately tonight. Campbell coming through turn 2, through the S's now of 3, of 4, and then through the left-hander of 5. And then eventually into the right-hander of turn 6. Quite a lot of elevation change in this first sector. And now coming through turn 7, of course, the Dunlop curve. And he's really trying to fight the car, actually, on the X of the Dunlop curve. And now coming in towards the Degner sections. Degner 1 coming up, 32.2 through the first sector from Campbell. Purple out of everyone. Don't expect it to be purple out of everyone by the time these laps are set. Through Degner 2 safely, and now on the Hillback, VS, of course, had a really bad accident in 2014 or 15, if I'm not mistaken, in the Red Bull. He's through the hairpin safely. Campbell on the run now down in towards Spoon Curve. This is not Spoon Curve. There are 2 different variations to the track, by the way. That little kink like you saw at the top of the hill, that is the MotoGP circuit that they use for the Japanese motorbikes around here. Campbell, though, in towards Spoon on the natural Grand Prix track as he now runs down over the sausage curb and now on the run in towards 130 yards. Looked a very neat lap, I've got to say, from the Scotsman. Expect lap times around here to be in around the 127-28 mark, perhaps. We obviously saw that on the last game, but Campbell now in toward the final couple of corners. The Scotsman about 10 seconds out now from the line as he comes through the Casio triangle on the run to the line, and this is seriously going to be around where I said, better 128. I think this is going to be Campbell to the line. It is a 128.9, but we can see probably time's going to be a lot quicker than that.
Ooh. 128 flat there, straight away from just Nathan.
Yeah, Justas on top, 28 flat. Nathan there, 28.6, coming in with a lap. Montana still in the pit lane. Not sure who's coming through on a lap. Izzo I'm on board with on a set of soft compound tyres. He's actually backed off his lap, if I'm not mistaken. Rocker was invalidated. Dylan looking okay, 32.9 through the first sector. Justas though out on top. Nathan in second. Justas, of course, won in Baku last weekend. Of course, me and Jess covered that Grand Prix. But Justas, fantastic to see him up towards his vanguard, and he's carrying on his good form form. Second, of course, in Mexico, a win last time out. Can he do another win out on track as Dylan catches the bump coming through turn 18 on the run to the line at 30 flat from him. He goes into P6. I'm not sure why I was saying P13 there, but he does go into P6. Justas though out on top, and Justas, as I was mentioning, carrying on that good form.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a cracking lap. That's quicker than I can do straight off the bat, you know, and that's just incredible. As a warm-up lap, so as Neo comes over the line, yeah, that's pretty tiny for a medium lap. He'll be happy with that.
He will be happy with that. 28.5, of course, ahead of Verstappen on a 29.3. Verstappen seriously, well, I wouldn't say disappointing on his lap, but a big chasm in terms of a gap. 0.8 of a second, which, to be honest, you will find on a set of mediums to a set of soft compound tyre around here. Normally, Verstappen is not on a lap. I think he's going to be coming back into the break lane. Jensen, I think, went ahead of him as well. Luca and Repaz are also on laps. Repaz is certainly on lap, but however, they're both invalidated, so it's typical. I go on board with somebody and they invalidate their laps, but Repaz at the top of the hill has backed off. Luca has also backed off. He was just behind at the hairpin. Daniel went second, by the way, 28.2, so not a bad lap from him, but he's nearly 2.5 tenths off Justas, nearly 2.25 tenths. In fact, it's the gap. But Justas out on top, Daniel second, Neo on third. The first laps are pretty much done. Montana obviously hasn't set a lap time yet, and I don't expect them to be honest. I'm expecting them to be right down in the back of the field. I've spotted a name change, by the way, in the field. Yulbrim now part of MLE, not NSX.
Yes. I don't know MLE, to be honest. I've not heard of them. I'm sure they're not very slow. Is that just me? Am I just an old git? I don't know.
No, I haven't heard of them either. I haven't heard of them either. But Yildirim, I think, getting himself in for a new team, of course. Hopefully not going to be causing any sort of drama like what happened last week, of course. Vaporize Montana running down the straight, giving Slipstream, which, of course, is illegal here in LOE. They got founded for that, I think. And I believe Montana, as a result, had a qualifying ban as well as Vaporizer. Vaporizer obviously not here, but Montana, I believe, in the stewards report, I'm sure I saw that he was under a qualifying ban. I'll just get it up now and I'll confirm. Yeah, Yildirim also got a qualifying ban, by the way, for impeding in qualifying, and Montana also got a qualifying ban for collusion between non-teammates, which I think we've never ever seen.
No, and yeah, I'm probably glad. I think the orgs are also probably glad I wasn't there for that one as well. Actually, to be fair, but yeah, it's just not what you want to see. Yeah, I don't know. I'd much rather absolutely crush the people I like into absolute oblivion, you know? Kind of what I do. Me and my friends live that in real life, you know? Like, we want to beat each other at things. Like, come on now.
Well, Montana is going to be starting. Obviously, nobody set a lap time. 32.4 by from Rocco, who goes wide. He recovers the car just about. How is that still valid? I do not know. Kept the car going. Well recovered, Rocco. Very similar, actually, to some of the incidents that we saw around here in Japan in the previous years of real-life racing. Really good recovery from there. He was sideways coming out of Sector 1. Didn't look comfortable at all. He missed the apex, it looked like, and he ran wide and carried too much momentum into the corner. As I say, I don't know how he didn't invalidate that lap. He is on one, but whether he'll come across the line or not is a different thing. But that was a good recovery.
Yeah, that was very, very, very good car control, and he would have been feeling that.
He would have been feeling that for sure, and yeah, we're just right on board with Rocco at the minute, just to see if he is going to continue on. I think he's got low fuel, so I'm assuming he's going to come back in the pit lane here. And I'm totally wrong, because he's actually continuing on for another lap. So Rocco crossed the line, 30.5, to be honest, for having a mistake, which cost him probably, I would say, nearly a second. Not a bad lap at all. And I think he'll be around the Verstappen-Lucas sort of area if he got a clean lap in. Whether or not he's going to go for another lap, of course, remains to be seen. Justas now out on an out lap as well. 28 flat is the current best time in the session. Daniel there in second, Neo in third at this stage. And both Aston Martins now coming out on out laps as well. And looks like they're going to be giving a little bit of tow by the looks. Neo was in front of Nathan coming out of the pit lane. And the Aston Martins, I think they realise, in terms of the Constructors' battle, they've got to work together and put differences aside, as we've seen a spinner through turn 3. I think that was Jensen just starting up on a lap who spun coming through turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely. The two Aston Martin lads are actually they're really good teammates. They actually get on very well. Oh, Yildirim is out. Can't work out how.
Qualifying ban.
Oh, yes, yeah. You mentioned, yeah. Apologies. Yeah, no, but Neo and Nathan get on really well, and it's interesting that Neo's choosing to tag along with Nathan for this one. Wonder if the favour will be returned on the third run.
Yeah, possibly. Campbell's coming across the line. He's on a good lap. Goes third, 28.5. So not a bad improvement there from Campbell. He lost 2/10 though in the final sector. Must be in the Casio Triangle that he messed up. But Justas out on top. Justas has now started up on a lap. He's coming through the S section of 5 and then through the right-hander of turn 6. And we pick on board with him now. Repaz, I believe, is on a lap just ahead. He's coming through in towards Spoon Curve. But Justas through the end of the first sector, 31.9. He's a 10th up. Purple in the first sector out of everyone. And now the Lithuanian carrying too much speed coming through Dector 2 on the exit of the Dector 2. And unfortunately, invalidated his lap. It was looking good up until that point, though.
Yeah, one thing I'm wondering here, because I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but 0.5s are slow. They are slow, and I'm wondering, is there any weather coming for this race? Because I don't know. I'm looking at these times and I'm a bit confused.
Repaz goes second. Yeah, to be honest, in terms of the conditions, everyone's going on a set of soft compound tyre, which I guess is not too dissimilar to what you would have on a normal dry race around here. I'm not honestly sure whether it is going to be the case where the soft compound tyres are going to be coming into play. I think they can last until about lap 9 before they decide to come into the pit lane. But those guys on a set of medium, I mean, Neo, he was on a set of mediums, now transitioned to a set of softs, and he is finding time. Purple of everyone through the first sector, so we'll run on board them with the Aston Martin as he now comes out of the hairpin. But yeah, Justas is a Repaz top 3. I'm not honestly surprised that the majority of the guys are going for a set of soft compound tyres, but as you mentioned, this track is known for rain and is known in particular for more typhoon conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, they're the people you probably picked to be up the front with Montana and Nürburgring, particularly having quali ban. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's something I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off kilter as Neo is flying.
He is, he's nearly 6/10 up, coming at the end of the middle sector, through now the Casio Triangle of 16 and 17, rides the curve very nicely, just degraded a bit of speed away. Neil, though, is he in the 127s? Yes, 127.8, he actually found time in that final sector, so Neil out on top, catch me if you can, he now cries. Justas there in second, Izzer in third, so an improvement, that thing from Nathan across the line. That's a very weird camera angle, by the way, running down in towards turn 1. I've never had a camera angle like that on the front of the car before. That's very strange. Nathan, though, in 6th. 28.3 did improve on his lap. Roots are there in 7th, not improving on his lap. Juma Cantera, however, are on laps, I believe. Juma across the line goes 9th. Cantera on a lap coming through the Dunlop curve. A lot of frame rate change coming through the S section and through the Dunlop curve as we ride on board there. But Neo out on top. Oh, as Cantera loses it through Dector 1, cuts Dector 2, invalidates his lap. Luckily, kept the car going and no damage.
Race is drier than James's humour, Montana says.
Terrible.
And one thing I just thought I'd point out, I think Nathan, actually, one thing we can get from that view, I'm pretty sure he has a Williams helmet on, which, if it's George Russell's helmet, I'm guessing that's a tribute to, obviously, the late Frank Williams, which is pretty damn nice, to be fair.
Yeah, it really is nice. Obviously, we paid tribute last week when obviously his passing was announced. It was my, actually, he didn't pass away last Saturday. It was on my birthday. He passed away actually on the Sunday. And it was obviously really unfortunate, and of course, an absolute legend of Formula 1 gone. But it is really good to see all of these tributes to George Williams, Frank Williams. Yeah, you got George Russell in my mind there. But Nathan, really good. I know he's a George Russell fan. I know his profile picture on Discord symbolises George Russell, so obviously he's a Williams fan, and that is why, obviously, fantastic tributes. And of course, I didn't know this. Actually, looking up on his profile, did you know that Sir Frank Williams was born in South Shields? And you might be wondering where South Shields is. It is literally about 8 miles away from me.
I used to go there. Visiting my uncle and aunt up in Gateshead, and that used to be our little destination by the sea. I know it well, believe it or not. You wouldn't think from my accent, but weirdly, that is a part of the world I actually know.
It's a fantastic part of the world where you obviously get charity shops, takeaway shops, and everything else like up here, up north. Justas, by the way, on a lap. 31.8. He's a tenth and a half up through the first sector. Hasn't carried too much speed coming through Degler 2 this time, and this looks quick from the Lithuanian. We're right on board with him now on the run up in towards the hairpin. Neo out on top though, just a second. Idran, this session has flown over so fast. Nearly 3 minutes to go in the session. Neo though out on top, just a second. Izza in third. Yildirim obviously retiring because of a qualifying ban. Montana, he could come out of the pit lane and obviously put a setup on if he so wishes, but it seems like what the comments are saying, it seems as if it's going to be a dry race, which is why you've seen the majority of the guys on a set of soft compounded tyres. Now, are the Ferraris going to work this together? Jensen's got a very good toe. Justas has got a very good toe, by the way, on Jensen. 2 tenths up coming through the middle sector again. Is it going to be enough, though, to beat Neo? Neo lost. Neo gained a lot of time in the final sector. Justas, however, needs to be more committed than him. And again, a little bit hesitant coming through 17, and then through the right hand of 18, fights in the car, but he comes across the line, and he just about goes quicker. 700's quicker than Neo. Neo, however, I feel he can improve on his lap, maybe into the 27.7s.
Yeah, if I'm Nathan, I'm towing him around, I think, at this point, because the Hasses are looking a bit vulnerable, and also you got to consider they've got Yildirim and Montana going to be coming through as well, so they're really vulnerable at this point. They could definitely make hay here.
People are, by the way, saying happy birthday. It is not my birthday today, unfortunately. It was last week, so thank you very much for the belated birthday wishes. I wish you saw on Twitter how many birthday wishes I actually got, because there wasn't many. Justas though out on top, Neo in second, Ezra in third. Jensen I'm on board with though, he was quick through the first sector. He is going to get a toe off Justas, it seems, at the top of the hairpin. Maybe through in towards Spoon Curve. These guys, of course, working together. They are teammates, of course, so they can work together, unlike last week. But Justas out on top, Neo in second, Izza in third. And with less than 2 minutes to go, final drivers are now beginning to come out of the pit lane. Luca and Cantera, crucially, and Juma, in fact, all still in the pit lane, but Jensen on a lap, the IFR man, hoping to go quicker than the likes of Verstappen, the likes of Reuter as well, pulled out of the slipstream, and he's 9 tenths up, in fact, Jensen. This is looking good, possibly for third, as he comes now through 130R. There was brief yellow flags there, but Jensen now coming through the final couple of corners, through 16, through 17, and then now through the right hand of turn 18, much more committed than Justas, taking the deeper line on the run to the line, and he does go third. He breaks into the 127s as well, so Jensen right up there in terms of the pace. Justas, though, still out on top, and still the one to beat.
I rode on board with both Hasses. Both were really up on their time, Verstappen and Campbell, and both lost it at very similar seconds. Campbell got into a bit of a half spin in the S's, and Verstappen ran the Dunlop curve, also lost it. So they're not going to be improving. That's going to be that for them.
Repaz is on the good lap. He's a 10th up through the first sector. What can the German do? Of course, Mercedes already wrapping up the constructor standings very wide, coming out of Spoon through turn 14. But now on the run up towards turn 15, he's got a little bit of traffic ahead. That's Rocco and Larkin just getting out of the way. And the Repaz is actually 700s up. He's lost a bit of time in this middle sector. He's got a McLaren off to the right hand side. There's Daniel. Luckily, no traffic problems like in Saudi Arabia this weekend. Repaz, though, coming around the final couple of corners on the run to the line. Could find a lot of time in this final sector, and he does. He finds a 10th in the final sector, goes 4th, but that lap time is probably going to be beaten by the likes of Nathan further down the field. I mean, Nathan, just right on board with him, has gone purple out of everyone in the middle sector. 4 tenths up from Nathan. He could go around Jensen, Neo sort of area, so watch out for this lap. Neo was also started up on a lap as well. There is a yellow flag in sector 1. That's a Mercedes going slow. Nathan to the line, goes third ahead of Jensen. Good lap from him. Repaz not on a lap. Izza's just started up on a 1. Neo is 700 out of the first sector.
Yeah, right on board with him actually, because I just wanted to keep an eye on this lap, and the rest of it looks pretty smooth. I wouldn't be surprised if he can hook up Spoon Curve. This is just so crucial, the exit. You just gain or lose time all the way out the exit here. If you can hook this up, must have a chat, and no, bit of a half slide, and that probably is going to damage him.
Yeah, I think he's not finding time actually coming through the middle sector. I'd be very surprised if he is, but he's coming through the middle sector split now. He's 1500ths up, so I may as well eat my own words on that, but he is purple out of everyone in the middle sector, it seems. So Neo, if he can hook up the Casio triangle, this is the part where he took a little bit hesitantly, and again, he takes it hesitantly, but is it as hesitant as just as he fights the car to the line? Does he go pole? No! Only improves 0.005 of a second. Nathan is off on a lap. Repaz is not improving. Izza might be the one to beat here, as Izza's now coming through the middle sector, and he's 2 tenths up, so the Williams now trying to put it on pole position. Daniel in behind as well. He's on a lap. He's going to improve up until 5th position. So good luck from him. Izza, so much more commitment coming through this Casio triangle. Izza now running to the line. Doesn't get it. He goes second. 27.8. Justas out on top. It looks as if that's the end of qualifying. I think Doom is out there on an invalid lap. He doesn't improve in the end. Repaz is not on one. Neither is Nathan. That's the end of qualifying. Drama. But it's Justas out on top. That lap time wasn't to be beaten by Justas. The Lithuanian out on pole. Izza in second. Neo in third. This is the sort of action what you get when Montana obviously has a qualifying ban.
Wow, I mean, the times there are very, very tight, all the way down to 8th, really. I mean, that's just a 1 or 2 corners improvement almost. Fair play to Larkin for only being, you know, like half a second off as well. You know, quali pace for him is not his strong point, and that's going to be promising for him, actually, in the race. So one maybe to keep an eye on out.
Yeah, I mean, look at the gap, actually. Second in the championship, Neo third. Verstappen outside of the top 10 and 11th. So Verstappen is going to struggle, I think. A 28.3 really didn't show his best work there, to be honest, in Verstappen. And Neo in third. Neo has been bounding on a lot of confidence this season, especially in the second half, and especially so in the last couple of weeks, of course, fresh from a win in Mexico. Obviously did well in Baku last week as well, and Neo will be hoping to try and get up there, but it is Justas out on top. The Lithuanian on top, Izza in second, Neo in third, Nathan in fourth, Jensen in fifth. I mean, a 10th and a quarter, separating the top 5 is not bad going for Japan. Daniel in 6th, Repaz in 7th, Wutra in 8th, Cantera in 9th, Larkin ran off the top 10, only 8 thousandths off the Alpine, in fact, in the end. Verstappen there in 11th, Doom in 12th, Campbell 13th, Luca 14th, Rocco in 15th, 3rd on the grid, of course, last week in Baku, but he's 15th on the grid this time. Dylan in 16th, Yildirim and Montana obviously not setting qualifying times because they both had qualifying bans, and they start right at the back of the field. But Justas out on top, Izza in second, Neo in third. I think that sets us up for a very, very good race.
Absolutely, it's going to be... there's going to be people at the back you need to keep an eye on. There's going to be people on the all strat you need to keep an eye on at the front of that train, and there's going to be people at the front. So yeah, this is going to be a good one. I feel like there's nothing that can potentially go wrong. It's dry. It's a tricky track. Just hope it all stays clean down into turn 1, because that is hard to keep clean.
It is very hard to keep clean. I mean, the whole first sector, to be honest, is hard to keep clean. I know last season we had a lot of carnage coming through the first couple of corners, and this is why it is so crucial. You've got to be somewhat trying to be aggressive on the opening lap, but you've got to be somewhat more reserved, I've got to say, because you don't want to be going into the back of somebody, messing up your braking point, and then ending up, both you and him, out of the race. So you've got to be a little bit reserved in that fact and not try and get anyone in terms of obviously the Constantino effect that'll come in towards turns 1 and 2. Hardy, by the way, in the comment section saying, why did Montana have a qualifying ban? He colluded with one of his teammates, i.e. NSX Vaporizer, who wasn't in the same team as him in Division 1. So just to clarify on that, he colluded with one of his own team members, but not his actual teammate, if you know what I mean, and that's why he got a qualifying ban along with Yildirim.
Yeah, that's Rudy, confusingly, by the way.
Rudy. They're both called Hardy. I've just seen Hardy come in the comment section there as well.
I know. It's quite confusing. Yeah, what I find really intriguing here is this game has also added a bit of a wrinkle to that problem, which is you can obviously now get damage at the rear of the car. So there's a real fine line now, because it's not like you can just be completely reserved and be selfish and just think, well, if someone breaks their wing behind me, it is what it is. You've also got to worry about your own rear end, you know, so this track is really tough in the first sector. I assume most of these guys, you know, they've all been racing, most of them, for quite some time, so they're not going to be silly, but it only just takes one moment of misjudgment high up the field and you can potentially have a lot of people lose their win. Yeah,
we've seen it before. I mean, side by side into the S section, if anybody tries to go side by side through there in the opening lap, they're both brave and they're both, well, can I call them idiots? Trying to go side by side through the first lap in the first sector. I think I can kind of get away with it, but in the context of what I'm trying to mean is, if you go side by side, one of the drivers then loses it on the inside, you get collected, both of you end up pretty much out of contention in terms of the race. So that can happen in terms of the racing around here, and I've seen it happen before, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again, of course, here in LOE Division 1. But they're looking at the tyres. Everyone bar Montana on a set of medium compounded tyres further down the field. Montana going for a set of soft compounded tyres. So I think he is trying those 3 dirty words, last to first.
Absolutely. I think the issue is with the first sector is if you're on the outside, normally you should give way probably most cases. But if you get ahead, then it's going to be a real kind of like, who blinks first? You know, I'm ahead. You back out. No, actually, I've got the inside. You back out. So I think that's where the confusion tends to happen at this level, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, drivers have got to be aware of their surroundings, and they've got to be aware of themselves as well. And they've got to try and put that car, of course, in the best position as possible, going in towards the opening laps of the race. But Mark, I'm going to come across to you. Who on earth is your top 3?
I am going to go. Is that Neo Daniel?
Interesting, yeah, Izza starting in second. Very good qualifying from him, if not his best qualifying of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So the Indonesian man, of course, in second. It is a relentless 1-2, and Nathan up there in fourth as well, so Jav will be very happy. The 5 red lights are going out here, of course, here in Japan. Round 16 of the championship about to begin, and it's lights out and away we go, and Justas gets a very good start. So does Izza, and so does Neo. In fact, and Neo's going to be side by side with Izza, running down in towards Tomon. He's on the outside line. Can he get the move done? No, he backs out. There's a little bit of front wing flying further down the field. I think that might have been from Daniel, if I'm not mistaken. But then the Constantine effect causes Montana is already past Yilbring further down the field, but Justas then leading the way. Izza in second, Neo in third, Whiter and Wouter and Daniel side by side. It was Daniel that picked up the front wing damage, left side end plate damage on the car, and now he's getting overtaken by Larkin, by Cantera, by Verstappen, who's going to be held up coming through the Dunlop curve. This is crucial in terms of the second place battle, in terms of the championship. Verstappen right in behind on Daniel, has to try and think about a move in towards Degler 1, but he doesn't, and Daniel falls down wide, and Verstappen is through. Down the inside line, gets the move done. Campbell trying to follow through, and Doom nearly caught out of room there as well. The Alpine on the back of the Haas. The Haas has to dive it down the inside line. Doom will safely follow through as well. Daniel getting really heads up on all of this. He's in 12th position, but now Doom is side by side with him. Now coming down in towards Spoon Curve, and this could be very tricky. And in fact, Daniel lets him go, so Doom is through, and he's into 12th. Rocco now should be in 13th. He gets the move done, but Daniel, opening lap of the race, has damage. Justas leading the way though. Izza in second, Neo in third. All bar that little bit of contact, very clean by everyone.
Yeah, Dan was incredibly well actually to just keep his nose clean. Well, that's what he didn't, and that's why he's got damage. But to keep out of the way of everyone while still maintaining, you know, some reasonable level of pace, so fair play.
Yeah, Lucas side by side with them down into the Casio triangle. Dylan nearly getting caught up in that as well. And is Daniel going to come into the pit lane? Yes, he gets out of the way now. Yulbring right on the back of Dylan. Further down the field, Montana, by the way, is already made up now 6 positions as he goes to the inside line. Down on Doom in towards turn 1, and Montana is through. He's into 12th position as Campbell nearly loses the car just in front of him. Really good recovery by the Scotsman. The Swiss man in behind is going to try and get him, but on that fresh set of soft compounded tyres, Montana is already looking quick, and he's through and he's into P12. Predicted one-stop strategy, by the way, says lap 10 to 11. Pretty much in consumption, I think, with what I predict in terms of about lap 8, lap 9, where the first pit stops will happen. So, ADOS graphics actually being right for once.
Yeah, it's not too far off. I think you can go for a bit of an undercut if you really want to, but it's a bit risky. But yeah, we've got Yellow Orange saying that Mont's still going to win. It's going to be still a tough ask here, because I tell you what, Campbell and Verstappen are not going to be the easiest people in the world to pass. And as you get up through that ranking, I don't think he's going to have it all his own way. So, whilst Justas looks absolutely rapid out there. So, if there's a safety car, yeah, potentially, but as it stands, he's going to have a lot to catch up at this point.
Yeah, the DRS train, I think, is going to come into effect as well, and he's down in 12th position, so he's essentially 12th in that DRS train, if you think about it. So Montana, he's on a fresh set of stuff, but it's negated so much by the the DRS running down in towards turn 1, and the sole DRS zone, of course, out on track, and obviously it doesn't get deployed this lap around because they're not close enough and they don't get deployed this lap around. However, Montana, on the back of Campbell, launches it to the inside line. The Scotsman absolutely sailed on by. Montana through he's into 12th, and now into 11th, in fact, and June run out wide there in behind, and now Rocco right on the back of him in towards the S section. June running wide there, just nearly lost the position to Rocco, but he didn't. He stays in 13th, and now Rocco there in 14th. But yeah, Justas leading the way. I totally echo what you say. He's absolutely flying out on track. 1.4 seconds the gap, pulling out that gap consistently to Izza. Neil there in 3rd and Nathan in 4th. And actually, Izza is slowing, I think, very slow out of Degner 1, now through Degner 2, and into the hairpin. Izza looking very slow. 2 seconds now the gap. Has his soft compounded tyres overshot themselves, perhaps? I do not know. But Neil now on the back of him was 5/10 of a second, now down to 3/10. Izza looking like he had a problem there.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I did say about Montana not finding it easy with Verstappen and Campbell. To be fair though, they're in that train. They probably have no reason to really battle him. They just think, yeah, go ahead. I'm in this train. I'm on the medium compound. Go nuts. So actually, you probably won't get too much resistance. But I think Pantera, Larkin, and Walter will definitely put up a bit more of a fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Montana in 11th. He's lost pretty much the gap now to Verstappen. It's nearly a second as they come through the Casio Triangle. I'm on board with Neil, though, on the back of Izza. Is he going to launch and move down in towards someone? No. Montana is into the pit lane, interestingly, which I really don't get. He is into the pit lane, putting on a set of hard compounded tyres. This will be bold and brave if he can pull it off. Rocco by the way through on Doom, and Luca is side by side with Dylan. Doesn't get the move done there, but Rocco ahead, and he's through into P12. Montana, 17th position, on a set of hard compounded tyres. 23 laps, should do it absolutely no problem at all, surely.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no safety car, it's a really good strat. It's got its merits. If there is a safety car, though, it is pretty much bombed out, realistically. So he's going to be hoping that there's no chaos here, and that's a big thing to ask at a track like this.
Yeah, he's judging that everyone keeps it clean, and I think, honestly, the majority of the guys have kept it clean so far, which is good, but the second half of the race will inevitably be better than the first half. On that set of hard compounded tyres, though, I mean, the guys ahead of him are on a fresh set of mediums, so they're probably still going to be pulling away compared to Montana. It's a bit of a weird strategy. It could be, though, the biggest undercut in history, as Pease has just said. It could be the biggest undercut in history in LOE. And Montana is catching Yulbrim, but I wouldn't say he's catching him enough. Yulbrim, however, has got ahead of Luca, just coming out in towards Spoon Curve there, so he's through. Repow's on the back of Jensen, looking close. Jensen goes in a little bit hot there into the Casio Triangle, doesn't get the move done. Neil, though, I think, has got to get the move done on Izza, because Izza is holding him up an absolute bunch. Doom, the 3-second penalty, picked up the first one of the night. Neil, though, not close enough down in towards someone, just keeping it nice and consistent so far. But they're in P3. I'd be honest, if I was Neo and I'd be wanting to win this race, I'd be passing them right now.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well. I mean, Justas is kind of checking out, so you feel like you have to. But the problem is, it's being at the head of a train, it's punching that hole, and maybe he doesn't feel like he's that much quicker. I don't think he is, because bear in mind he's got DRS and he's not having too much joy, so it's a tough one. You've got to be pretty brave. I tell you what, the gap between Justas and Montana is pretty easy for the lap and a bit that they've been on. So he's probably on that basis going a lot quicker than everyone else on the track then.
He is. I mean, he has lost a bit of time there coming to the first sector. It was 16.8, it's now 17 seconds, and now the gap suddenly catches back up again, which is very strange. 16 seconds now, the gap 15.9. Not sure if there was a mistake there, perhaps from June, possibly. I think it might have been. But Justas leading the way. 2.8 seconds the gap. Justas is just pulling away from this field. Looking very nice indeed. Izza in second, Neo in third. But when are the pit stops going to happen? Probably not this lap around. I would say not for a good 2 or 3 laps, yes. However, if I was in Nathan's shoes, I'd be putting in probably a little bit earlier than Izza and Neo just ahead of him. And he's staying out for now. There is a yellow flag, and that's Daniel who was lost. Actually coming down the hill, coming through in towards Spoon Curve. So he's lost the car. Hasn't got any damage. He might have just slowed down, perhaps. I'm not sure if there was a problem there with Daniel. But he's down there in 18th position on a set of medium compound tyres, and he nearly lost the rear end, actually coming out of Spoon. Neo, though, still on the back of Izza, not fending them off nicely so far as Izza, but Neo's only 4/10 away, and look at the DRS training behind, spans all the way down to Rocco with Jensen, again, right on the back of Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan made a bit of a half mistake. I would say Nathan was actually looking a bit quicker than Neo in this train until that point, but he just lost it ever so slightly in the S section. And yeah, Jensen is going to be looking to get past him, and he's having a little look. He sends it up the inside. Half-hearted though, really.
I mean, Nathan was, to be honest, late on the brakes, probably later than he even expected. But he managed to cut him off. It was nice, actually, from Nathan. The way he positioned his car, it was deep, and he made a mistake, but it was deep enough for him to cover off Jensen coming down the inside of him. Because if Jensen was there, and Nathan did that, and he was a little bit alongside him, there would have been contact there, and they could have been further down the field. But now Jensen, on the back of Nathan, running up the hill and towards 130R. Justas leading the way is a second, Neo in third. Good job, though, from Jensen so far. He's in fifth, and I've got to argue he's looking quicker than Nathan now. And, in fact, the car's ahead. So if he gets in a bit of free, clean air, he could be the one that absolutely flies on this track. Montana, by the way, is catching quite quickly on the back of Luca and June further down the field. The gap between himself and the leader, which I'll get up now, 26.4 seconds. Pit stop around here, I think it's 25 seconds, so it is looking a little bit close. But Yilbroom now through on Dylan, down the inside line, in towards turn 1, and Repaz is round coming through turn 1, and then through turn 2. I'm not sure if he actually spun around there or if he reset the track. I think it was a spin around, and Repaz has spun, and he's the first to be claimed by the curbs.
Yes, indeed. Montana is pushing. He is going for absolute at the moment. Fair play. It's an odd strategy, but, you know, he's having fun. That's the whole idea of it. You know, that's what he's after. Trying to do something unusual, pushing the boundaries to see how much he can achieve. So, yeah, you know, I've got a lot of time for it, to be fair.
Yeah, 31.1 is the fastest lap of the race from him as well. He's 3/10 quicker than Justas, and he's on a set of hard compound tyres as Montana. Justas on that set of softs, so maybe beginning to see the softs begin to ebb away. June on the back of Repaz now. Repaz joined in 15th position, rejoined safely, I think, in 15th as well. But June now in 16th, on the back of him, trying to get the move done in towards that Spoon, but not going to be close enough. I think himself, actually, June has been making a few mistakes. That's why they're both struggling. Justas, though, is still pulling away. 4 seconds now, needing the gap to the guy in second. That is Izza, and he's into the pit lane. So Justas is into the pit lane. Not a bad call, this, I don't think. Izza is also in. Neo is in. Nathan has to stay out. Jensen stays out along with Wouter, Larkin and Cantera. They all stay out in behind, but the top three are in. Justas, Neo, and Izza all into the pit lane. Going forward, set of medium compound tyres, which I've got to say, going to make it quite comfortably. Where is Montana in all of this? Montana is coming through the Casio Triangle. Justas is going to be a mile ahead.
A really small point there, but Neo and Nathan used so much less battery, and Neo hit on.
Montana's got Neo coming out of the pit lane, so this undercut has worked to an extent. Montana is ahead of Neo, but he's only ahead of one driver.
Yeah, this is it, but yeah, I don't know. Having your battery fully recharged is a waste. It means that they were just losing time unnecessarily. I think those guys, and yeah, a bit of a leak there. And if he'd have used a bit more, maybe he would have come out a tiny bit ahead. As we have a yellow.
Campbell through the hairpin has spun, coming through turn number 11. Had to look on my notes there, but Campbell round in P11. Oh, and he's actually gone off track. He's got right side end plate damage. Not sure if that was in the dirty toe or if June just came across him and pushed him out wide. I came on board with that quite late, but he has got right side end plate damage. And I would assume it's that right side end plate damage that is costing him a lot. So he's obviously been in the wall coming out of the hairpin, which is unfortunate for him and Haas now. Down only to one driver. Repaz, by the way, on Luca, through in towards P10. He goes through 130 and into P10. As now the rest of the soft runners come in. Wouter, interestingly, and Cantera both stay out. The rest of them in. Nathan, Jensen and Larkin all into the pit lane. Wherever they're going to come out in Montana. Montana is coming through just through 130 into the Casio Triangle now. These guys further down the pit lane. This is going to be close, I think. I think Montana could get these guys, you know.
So what, Neo's going to get him because he's got hardly any errors, and he's going to absolutely fly past him. And Neo sensibly battery, and he's going to get past. unfortunately, Montana gets past Nathan there.
He does. So Montana now pretty much running a net P4. On a set of hard compound tyres, it is a really good undercut strategy, if I've got to be honest. But look at how far he's behind the leader. He's behind the leader by a good 5 seconds or so. He's behind Izza by a good 4 seconds or so. So it really hasn't worked out, I think, from Montana's perspective. Neil there is only 5/10 up the road, but he got through on a fresh set of mediums, and now it's Montana, who is inevitably going to be struggling, and Nathan should be able to pick him up quite easily. And you know what? When these two battle, Montana and Nathan, it normally ends up in quite a good fight, and I really hope that it's going to be the case. Nathan, on that fresh set of mediums, should be all over Montana, but this is Montana we're talking about.
I think what I find really interesting with this is we get another time pin there for Campbell. The tyres will obviously come back to Montana the longer this race goes on, so I wouldn't completely discount him. As long as the problem is that Justas and Izza are just, they're just checked out. You know, they're too far ahead, probably particularly Justas.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wooter's into the pit lane now, so this is going to be the final stop. Cantera's still out there, by the way, on that set of soft compound tyres, but where is Wooter going to rejoin? Wooter could rejoin inevitably at the back of this queue, and I think he is. He's going to be well behind this queue in the end. Nathan, by the way, past Montana down in towards turn 1, so down the straight, Nathan gets Montana, who's through, and he's into P12 for now, but it is a net P4 out on track, but the Aston Martin's looking good in terms of their fight, in terms of the constructors for second, and Neil obviously outscoring Verstappen, it seems the case as well. But normally the mediums to soft strategy tends to be the quicker one, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised, given how close that these guys are going to be towards the end of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Verstappen and the likes make their way up the field later on in the race. And speaking of Verstappen, on the back of Cantera for the lead of the race. Now coming through Spoon Curve, the Alpine and the Haas, looking quite close. Rocco's not entirely out of this either. He's about 6 cents in behind on Verstappen. But now Verstappen, 80% of ERS, has to try. And I've got to say Cantera here, because he wants to be scoring as many positions as possible and as many points as possible as this race goes on. So Verstappen, in terms of his battle for second, he's got to hope that Neil finds some sort of trouble, but however, he is looking very quick as now Verstappen promotes to the lead of the race as Cantera is in, and he's going to be well down the field, probably ahead of Daniel when he comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, we're not getting far off like the Goldilocks zone of a safety car for those medium runners, because if it gets to about lap 13, I would say anything above that, they really, I think a lot of the field might consider softs. And they definitely will. Oh, that's a...
Oh, Luca! Luca has spun, coming through turn 3. Oh, that's just before turn 3. In fact, that's turn 2, and he's off into the wall. Right side, end plate damage on the car, and complete and utter carnage. Coming through on the right-hand side. It's off track, so I don't think this is going to deploy a safety car. It is off track, and looking through that roundabout with Daniel, the car is there on the right-hand side. And there is the damage to the car. Both wheels off on the front. Very hard hit there by Luca. Coming through turn 3. Didn't see what happened to him. Must have caught on the curb on the exit of turn 2. But there, just before turn 3, on the right-hand side, he is off. And the car has now been removed. And we get back to green flag racing in that sector. So Verstappen leading the way. Rocco in second. I think, honestly, these guys, on an alternate strategy, would have been hoping for some sort of safety car there.
100%. 100%. Well... it's a long time to go those softs, so maybe they won't be too devastated. If there's one in a couple of laps on there, they'll be absolutely fist bumping.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, looking further down the field, I mean, Montana is under pressure from Jensen. Look at how quick Jensen's going without using the deployment, and now he's going to go around the outside into the Casio triangle. Surely not. Montana got in deep, and Jensen goes in deep as well. Has to correct himself, cuts across the curb. That'll inevitably be a warning, but he's going to try and get the move done down and towards someone. Montana is struggling on that sort of hard compound of tyres, and now here comes Jensen, right on the back, down in towards turn 1. He's got to think about going around the outside of turn 1. This will be bold and brave Mercedes against Ferrari, and the Mercedes just about comes out on top. Montana stoic to his defence. Jensen there still in P12, but that looked on for Jensen. He didn't look like he wanted to commit to the move, but if he didn't make that mistake coming through Casio Triangle, he would have been through by now easily.
Yeah, think that was a mistake going for that, because what it's done now is break Montana away from DRS, the DRS train, so it's just going to be that little bit harder now for Jensen to onto that train. So the first attempt fair, the second one I don't point, and it's just so yeah, not the I don't know, experience maybe showing there.
Yeah, looking in behind as well, Larkin and Wuta have now caught up to this as a result of that battle and as a result of that mistake. They were just less than a second away, I think, but now it's brought them totally into contention in terms of trying to get Montana, hop on board the Montana train, I think is what we can say now here in Japan. We are about to go on to lap 13 though, pretty much at the halfway stage. Verstappen leads the way, Rocco in second, Yildirim in third. Repaz, by the way, still hasn't pitted on that set of soft compound tyres. Stays out release for another lap. He's going to come under pressure now from Doom, who was in behind, and he's got the net race leader of Justas ahead, and Doom actually just gets out of the way. Nice, I think. Justas now through, he's into P6. Doom there in P7, lets him through. Jensen, by the way, now closing down on Montana, gets the move done, and Wouter is side by side with Larkin running down in towards turn 1 as well, and he clips the inside curb. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. Lovely move by the Williams. He is through and he's into P13. There was a brief yellow flag there, and that's for Doom who was spun.
Ooh, nasty to lose it. Pretty much identical place to Speaker. He's managed to keep out of the wall.
Yeah, through turn 5 and he spins again. Nice. And those tyres look completely overshot in terms of their wear now, and Doom, I think, will be probably coming into the pit lane to hop on possibly onto a set of hard compound tyres, because it's the only tyres, of course, that he can go on, with them being on a set of mediums and they're having to use up 2 mandatory dry compound tyres. Justas on the back of Repaz, 5th and 6th position. Very comfortable gap, I've got to say, Justas, but he's being held up now at this point. The Mercedes holding up the Ferrari, and now Justas on the back of Repaz. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to get the move done here. This is the easiest overtake you will see all night. Running up the hill, in towards 130R. Justas disposes of Repaz as if he wasn't even there. Justas is through and he's into P5, and now, crucially, if Repaz stays out, he puts a car between himself and Izza, and the gap is 3.2 seconds, so Izza going to be a lot quicker than Repaz, but is Repaz going to come into the pit lane? I think he was, to be honest, and then he made a mistake and he had to continue on.
Yeah, work out which way which, you know. I don't know if he was trying or wasn't trying. Very unusual to be out. You know, obviously, I mean, I feel like this is trying to help his teammate, potentially. I mean, he's obviously got an idea, you know, in his own mind as well, but don't get the logic of extending this stint quite as far. But just purely your own preferred, I don't know, I find it odd.
Yeah, Daniel getting through on Doom, running down in towards turn 1, he's through and he's into P15. Doom has gone too deep, coming through turn 1, and looks really, really unsettled by his mistakes that he made. He's now coming through 3 and 4, overtaken by Daniel, who's on 2 lap younger tyres, and Daniel's tyres could get him towards the end of the race, but it will be a big stretch. Doom now is through the S-section safely this time around. Verstappen though leading. On to lap 15 we pretty much go. Verstappen leading the way. Gap is hovering around 0.8 of a second now. Verstappen just trying to eke out a little bit of a gap. But at what cost? Because because Neo and Nathan, of course, on that set of medium compound tyres, fresh set of mediums, that is where Verstappen has got to be aiming around. Obviously, it is not going to be possible because of the time advantage that Neo and Nathan have got over him. But in terms of the championship, it's crucial that Verstappen tries to outscore both Aston Martins. Otherwise, his P2 hopes could well and truly be over, and the Aston Martins could gain on Haas as a result in the Constructors.
It's actually quite a massive decision here, because if he pits now, he comes out 14th. He comes out a long behind Cantera and a long way ahead of Daniel. But if there's another ASC, a lot of people are going to pit. A lot of people are going to pit, and you might find yourself, I mean, I would say net 5th worst, and you could be net pole.
Could be. I've just seen a lovely move, by the way. Cantera round the outside of Larkin coming through turn 1. Unfortunately for Larkin, I caught that just about at the end of that, but Cantera's through and he's into 13th position. Lovely move around the outside of turn 1, and he's through and he's into 13th position. No, the wonder he's on 2 lap fresher tyres than Larkin, and now he can try and push his way up the field. He's got Wouter and Montana in front. Wouter on the back of Montana. This could be quite interesting. Got Jensen ahead of him. And to be honest, Montana's tyres are beginning to come into play, Jensen has not pulled away at all. I thought Jensen would have been getting Nathan and Neo, but he hasn't. And Jensen has struggled in this DRS train. Montana latching onto the back. This has given him significant firepower towards the end of the race, because where these guys in the set of mediums are going to wear out those tyres, Montana on the set of hards is still going to be relatively fresh. So he is going to come into play sooner rather than later, as Izza is side by side with Repaz, and Repaz I think just lets him through there. So Izza through and he's into P6. Yulbream, however, set of medium compound tyres off, set of softs go on. So there's the first man from an alternate strategy pitting in onto a set of soft compound tyres, and he's going to get out ahead of Daniel, with Repaz also pitting into the pits.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me that he pitted at that point. Neo was pushing every part of his battery to get back into DRS of his at. So I'm gonna have to start wondering whether Neo just thinks, do I swap with Nathan? I don't know. It's a tough one, because I don't think he's going to close down Izza. So maybe it's worth letting Nathan have a shot, particularly because Neo's spent his battery here.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, Justas, he's, I don't know. Verstappen leading the way. I've just lost my train of thought there, so that's why I'm going off on a tangent. Verstappen leading the way. Rocco in second, the gap. Verstappen pulling away, though, from Rocco, which is interesting. Trying to gap him. Dylan there in third. Yulbream, though, 3.9 seconds in behind Larkin. We spoke, obviously, with Montana. On that sort of soft compound tyres, he was much quicker in the first stint. Yulbream now in the second stint. He's on the sort of soft compound tyres. What is going to happen ahead of him? Is everyone going to battle up and Constantina up? Yulbream is then only going to join the back of this queue, perhaps, and he is going to be right at the back of this queue and probably making hardly any moves.
Yeah, well, the leaders are in, and they are going to be very much not the leaders now, and Dylan is going to be Hail Marying, hoping for a safety car this lap. He's the last of the five, so I think.
Verstappen, there's a chance he could get ahead of Yulbream here. Yulbream is there, and there is Verstappen, and Verstappen's going to be ahead of him. So Verstappen is ahead of Yulbream, and that is key for Verstappen. He is going to be in P11, but with obviously Dylan to pit in, Montana possibly to pit in as well. I think those tyres will probably get to the end, though. But with Dylan to pit in, Verstappen is going to be on for a top 10 finish. Neo, however, is P3 at the minute. Jensen, by the way, is all over the back of Nathan, coming through the deckers, and Neo was pulling away now from his teammate in the Aston Martin. His teammate in behind Nathan has got to try and just bring that gap to towards 0.6 of a second to try and stay within that slipstream. Jensen there in P6 though, Montana in P7. It is building very nicely, the crescendo is coming, and in a couple of laps time we're about to see fights, overtakes, all sorts around here in Japan.
Yeah, I feel like because it's the last lap, it's the last podium spot even for Nathan and Neo, they probably won't spot.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Nathan doesn't look quick compared to Neo. So I think they may as well just not revert the positions and then stay P3, P4 possibly for the entirety of this race. And I think that'll be the safest option because they're picking up a double points finish. Neil's outscoring Verstappen and Aston Martin outscoring Haas. So there's nothing really to lose in terms of switching over your teammates. Either way, really. Neo was obviously quicker. Nathan will obviously close up. But where is he going to be? Nathan looks quicker only in the start of the first sector because that's where the DRS zone is. Through the corners, Neo was quicker on a slightly warmer set of the mediums. He's looking a lot quicker. Wouter, by the way, on the back of Montana, still there as Verstappen has spun coming through turn 3. So Verstappen in the wall slightly coming through turn 3, now through turn 4. Kept it out the wall luckily. He's out of the points though. 13th position. And there goes his chance, possibly, of picking up P2 this season. And he's round again, I think.
Can I just say that was really mature of him there because he'd lost it on the racing line and reversed his car into the gravel. Really a fan of that.
yeah, obviously didn't want to risk the ghosting system coming into play at all. And obviously, you know, the ghosting system, he runs wide again. And this, unfortunately, he's going to rejoin. Just get out of the way of Campbell, but he's rejoining last position. Verstappen is not picking up any points. Neo, however, on the other hand, P3, he's 1.6 seconds off Izzet, and the gap is closing down slightly. So Neo is not entirely out of a possible P2 here. This could be big in terms of the overturn, in terms of points. Remember, Neo only needed 7 points in terms of a buffer over Verstappen, as Cantera has crashed coming through the final corner. Is that the safety car that Verstappen needs? It is, and it is a safety car. Justas then leading the way. Izza in second, Neo in third. Surely now everyone has got to pit in. Set us off compound tyres. We could see Yulbrim and Rocco leading this race soon.
Verstappen, how's your luck? How is your luck, sir?
Oh, he has to stick to the delta time though, and he's going to lose a lot more time compared to the guys ahead of him, and he stays out, so he's got those tyres warm now to push, and he's ahead of the guys.
Okay, that makes me ignore me, because the biggest problem is the temperature, probably, more than not wear, so, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. To be fair,
yeah.
It's really helped out Haas, really helped out Haas.
It has indeed. Campbell there in P16 though has pitted, so he's going to be right down the back of the field. Possibly when everyone, we think, is going to come in for a set of soft compounded tyres. If they don't, then they run the risk of really getting out caught by Yildirim and Rocco. P9 and P10 on that set of soft compounded tyres, they could end up being truly top, maybe in the top 3 by the end of this race. But the safety car is out. Justas leading the way. All of that work that Justas has done is now pretty much ate up in one go because of the safety car. But will he now come into the pit lane? This will be the deciding factor. Will Justas come in, and will everyone else follow him in? I would imagine so. Surely onto a set of soft compounded tyres, and Justas stays out.
Wow, that's really interesting, because Yulbrim, I think, would have probably... They're all staying out.
Nathan, Jensen is in. Jensen is the only one that's in. Wouter and Larkin are in, so they're gonna now waste away their positions in terms of the points, and now they're in for a fresh set of soft compounded tyres, which makes sense. But the guys in a set of mediums, are they gonna? It's a bit difficult because I've seen it work before. I've seen these guys, or certainly some of the guys, stay out in a different league on a set of medium compounded tyres. And it works because of the track position and because of how this the nature of the track is. The guys on a set of mediums are just going to hold up everyone on a set of softs, and the DRS train is going to be crucial in all of this. But if you're Rocco, P6, you're probably in a more favourable position than what you would be further down the field like Jensen and Wouter are.
It's quite funny, really, because Montana's going to be the biggest obstacle to other people getting through, which I think is quite a humorous reversal of fortune. Normally he's the one getting through, isn't he? So this is really, really tough. I mean, whoever was the first to pit, I think potentially you could argue it might have been a mistake if they were the first ones. So, but the further back, the guys had nothing to lose, because Larkin and Yulbrim were always coming out ahead of Verstappen, right? And then Wouter was, so the further back you're not losing that many positions, but it's probably brave from Jay. But I think it's the right play. I think it's the right play.
I don't know, I'm a bit in two minds. I'm a bit 50-50 with this, because Jensen has wasted away his track position, but he's only wasted away, 2 positions, I think, in the end. Rocco and Dylan are the only 2 that's ahead of him. And then you've got Verstappen, who's on that fresh set of soft compounded tyres further down the field. He pitted in a couple of laps ago, and he's in 12th position, while Rocco, who pitted on the same lap as him, is in 6th position. And that's the nature of how this track is. Justas still leading the way. None of the guys on a set of mediums coming in, so they're now committed to the end of the race. Montana on a set of hards, interestingly, is also staying out on that compound of tyre. But the safety car should be coming in this lap around. We're going to have 6 laps worth of racing. And do you know how I said it was going to reach a crescendo? I think it's well and truly going to reach a crescendo now. This is going to be an interesting end to the race, as Juma is back into the pits.
It's interesting. Maybe he had a high worn pair of softs, or a set of softs or something, but do you know what I find really also quite quite bizarre on this, and I'm sorry, but Dylan was absolutely nowhere in quali or for most of that race. It's an absolute war crime he finds himself in 7th. Absolute war crime. But fair play. You make your own luck. So.
But you could say the same thing about Rocco though, because he's also gained 9 positions, and he's up from 15th on the grid. Dylan's up from 16th on the grid, and the only gainers are Montana and Yulbreen. Everyone else has either lost positions or they've stayed as they are. The top 4, I mean, have stayed as they are. But it's really the Red Bulls that have found the biggest opportunity out of this safety car. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it's not very often you get a race where the top 4 is the same on lap 21 as it was at the beginning of the race. Doesn't necessarily... I mean, been the most action-packed race so far? No, being completely honest. But... like you say, it doesn't. People tend to remember the last 7 laps rather than the first 7 laps, so we're in for a treat still, I think.
We are definitely, and if it's anything about Japan, we like to see some really good action out on track, and hopefully there is not a fake banana skin that is now going to come on the track, of course, with the love of Mario Kart and the rest around here. But Justas leading the way, Izza in second, Neo in third. The safety car, I'm assuming, is going to come in this lap. Juma's now latched onto the back of the safety car queue. Safety car will come in very, very soon indeed, if it isn't already. And now it does. Safety car is coming in this lap. So Justas now the virtual Bernd Marlander. He is now the virtual safety car, and he can dictate the pace however he likes, and it's going to be quite a slow burn up here from around 40 mile an hour. In fact, I think he's already gone. Justas is already gone through the Casio triangle. Very, very good on the brakes, and look at the gap. He's already breaking out a second to Izza. He's already broke a second to Izza. What a start from Justas underneath the safety car. We get back underway, and Justas is already out of DRS to Izza. What a start from him. The Lithuanian leads. Izza in second. Jensen is side by side with Dylan, nearly down in towards turn 1. Dylan commits a little bit too late on the brakes, but now he's still in 7th. Jensen there in 8th. Daniel looked at Repaz down in towards turn 1, didn't get the move done, but Justas leading the way, 1.3 seconds. What a start that was, because I think that start has just secured him the race win.
That was honestly unbelievable, because it's not like he just gapped Izza, he gapped Neo and Nathan as well. He just shot away. Fair play, absolutely incredible. And I tell you what, fair play to Montana. He's getting away from Rocco, and he's right on the back of Nathan. This is
Jensen down the inside line of a hairpin on Dylan. Nearly gets the move done. A little bit of over-rotation there from the Ferrari, and now Dylan is on the inside of him. And now they go side by side down in towards Spoon. Woots are right in behind as well, but Jensen, I think, is going to come out on top, and Woots is going to go down the inside line. And it's like Verstappen and Vettel coming through there, but it's not. And Whiter now on the inside line. Now coming through Spoon, and they're still side by side, and Dylan just about comes out on top of Willie, because Woots is still on the inside line. On the run up towards 130. Oh, this is a great battle on board with Wooter, but Dylan is just about going to come out on top. Wooter keeps his nose in. He could have a run down the inside into the Casio triangle. Down the inside on the brakes he goes. He gets collected, but now Larkin on the inside line tries to get through as well. He doesn't. Wouter's right on the back there with Dylan. Dylan is under all sorts of pressure, but defended it well, and now Larkin down the inside line in towards turn 1. Yulbreen behind watching on. Dylan goes slow in towards turn 1, and now Larkin down the inside line catches himself on the curb. Wouter hangs it around the outside, just about keeps the position. Great racing between the lot of them. Dylan in 8th, Wouter 9th, Larkin in 10th, Yilbrim in 11th, and I need to lie down.
Unbelievable racing, how they all kept it clean through there. Dylan didn't lose his patience from what was a little bit of a dive bomb earlier on that lap, and didn't take it out on Valter, so absolutely up there. That was honestly a good advert for the league, that. Fair play.
Yeah, fantastic battle. Yilbrim gets all out of shape coming through Degda 1 and Degda 2. And up the hill, doesn't get the move done. Well, he's not close enough down in towards the hairpin, but Jensen is close enough on the back of Rocco. This is crucial for Jensen. He's got the speed, but he hasn't got the advantage to try and get past these guys naturally. Neo is the one that's holding all these guys up, and Neo's pace was good before the safety car came out, and now, when the safety cars came back in, his pace looks absolutely shocking, because he's lost 2 seconds to Izza, he's lost 3 seconds to Justas. Neo struggling on that set of mediums, and now Montana is going to come steaming at Nathan down the inside line into the Casio triangle on that set of hard compounded tyres. Risks it for a chocolate biscuit down the inside line, doesn't get the move done, gets the switchback though out of 17 and fights the car through 18. Goodness me, always sideways. Neo just about holding on to third, but now Nathan and Montana are going to go side by side. These two have made contact before. Will they make contact again? There's a little bit of slight wheel banging coming through turn 1, and now Montana on the inside line gets collected, and Montana's round. Montana is round. He risked it down the inside line. Nathan cut him up, to be fair. Montana now down in 15th position. There goes his chance. He's right down the back of the field, in fact, is Montana. Jensen on the back of Rocco. I've got to be honest there. I don't... more room could have been given, but Montana shouldn't have been down the inside line. Simple.
No, it was Nathan absolutely made him do it. Nathan's off. No, he's
Nathan
not.
is not off.
Sorry, my screen. It just went on my screen.
Oh, Jensen is though! Jensen's round at the hairpin! Sorry to cut in! He's round at the hairpin, he risked it on Rocco, didn't get the move done, and now Dylan is under pressure from Wouter and behind. This is crazy here in Japan. Justas leading the way, and do you know what? Justas hasn't even secured the race win because Izza is eating into that advantage. A second now, the gap bordering on the DRS. Justas leading the way. Izza in second, Neo in third, Nathan now in fourth, and Nathan on the back of Neo. Are these going to be team orders, I think? I think if you were to try and release Nathan, now would be the time to do it, because down in towards turn 1, you're not going to get the move done. But however, I think Nathan might, because Neo is so close to him. And now Nathan, on the exit of the final corner, is going to get the run down in towards someone. He's probably being told, you know what, come on through, down the inside line, easy as you like. Off to the right-hand side he goes, and he's through and he's into P3. Crucial for him. Jensen side by side with Repaz further down the field, took right underneath the rear wings, become on board. Verstappen somehow is P10 out of all of this now.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'll be honest, I thought Nathan's move was really, really clever. He squeezed him as much as he could. Montana gave him a wheel back into the corner as if to go, hey, give me a better line into this corner. He said, no, I'm not doing it. And Montana should have backed out. I think it was clever racing, parking your car in a really aggressive part. There was no contact. I don't know. I'm sometimes a critic of what Nathan does. Sometimes that for me was just really, really clever defence, and Montana fell for it really.
Yeah, fair racing, but a fair racing incident is what we can probably gather, I think, from it. And I think Nathan was entitled to position. He was ahead going into the corner through turn 2. Montana was just purely on the inside line. Whether he got caught on the curb, I don't think he did through turn 1, and that would have unsettled the car into him. But it didn't really happen, because I was on board with that entirely. Nathan in P3 deserves that P3 so far, but of course the stewards might have a little bit of a look at it. Jensen further down the field on the back of Repaz. Not quite close enough, and that was Larkin, I think, right on the back of Wouter, nearly into the back of him, in fact. Coming through the Casio Triangle. Montana now through on June, by the way. He's into 15th position. Penultimate lap of the race. This race has gone so quick. Justas leading the way. Izza in second, Nathan in third. And a 129.8 is the fastest lap for Montana, so that fastest lap point is on. But now, what happens? Nathan is not pulling away from Neo. Neo was beginning to bridge the gap back in, and then they've got a whole set of soft runners in behind as Yilbreamer's round.
Ooh, nasty. Nasty, and it's just, yeah, now look, Verstappen up to 9th now. Unbelievable. Larkin in 8th there by Dylan. I mean, he's going to lose some points, but those Red Bulls will be very, very happy with this so far.
Well, by my calculations, Neo is doing enough at this stage. Obviously, with Dylan's penalties to come into play, might change. But Neo is doing enough to take the battle to Interlagos next week for essentially the battle for P2 between Verstappen and Neo, because I think it's only now them two in it. Justas leading the way, 1.9 seconds the gap. He's pulled away hugely from Izza over the last 2 laps or so, and the gap was a second. It's now 2 seconds, and Justas doubling the advantage, looking really, really confident and clean this race. It's been a really astute performance. Wouter gonna think about going the inside of Dylan to the Casio Triangle, doesn't pull it off, but he is on the back of him, coming across the line to start the final lap of the race. Justas leads the way. Izza in second. What can happen here, though? Down in towards turn 1. Wouter on the back of Dylan. He looks absolutely shot in terms of the tyres, and now Wouter thinks about going around the outside of him. Goes through the inside line of turn 1, and Dylan just about hangs on, but the switch back through 2 is not enough, and Dylan, beautiful position of his car there, still P6, and still within a chance of picking up some good points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Barton's just going to be so annoyed because he probably fancies chances and getting at Rocco, and Dylan's just acting like a roadblock. So, fair play. Really, I don't know. I've been really impressed with the racecraft this race because this is not the easiest place to keep it clean, and I think 99% of the incidents we've seen, not only probably 100 actually, to be honest, have been great. Been clean. It's been good, clean driving, and I'm pretty impressed with this.
Yeah, really good driving standards by all. Certainly an improvement, certainly from Baku last week. But Justas is on for a second win in a row, and he's going to be the first man, I think, since Montana earlier on in the season to repeat the feat. And now it could be relentless 1, 2, 3 in all of this as well. And Excel are following him behind, possibly 4, 5, and 6. God almighty, it's like the old days of LOE. But Justas now coming around the final couple of corners, and now into the Casio Triangle for the final time. He's simply dominated this race. It's been a very astute performance, a little bit twitchy at the final corner, but Justas to the line, wins in Japan, slows it down to pretty much crawl, but he's done enough. Izzer in second, Nathan in third, a relentless 1, 2, 3, XL Neo in fourth, Rocco in fifth, but where is Dylan all this? Verstappen is glitched, I think, on my screen. He's down there in 15th, it's glitched slightly, and he's down there in 15th position. There was no penalties for him, so I think he is P7 or P8, I think.
Yeah, I think he... no. I think ahead of Dylan. I imagine he'd be 11th, potentially.
Yeah, but I mean, Verstappen had no penalties, though. He was ahead of Repaz, I think. Or Larkin, one of the two. He's either 7th or 8th, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's very odd. Game doing game things as per. Wow. I'm gonna. With the Neo, you know, the Ferrari heydays of team orders. I thought that was I don't know. I'm gonna ask him about that. Maybe it wasn't team orders. Maybe Neo was just conserving battery and Rocco just wasn't. But interesting.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, still, fantastic racing by all out on track, and Justas takes a second win of the season. His first, of course, came in Azerbaijan last week, and he's now picked up a second race win of the season. And, as I said, he's the first man to do it since Montana back in America and in Spain. Round 2 and 3 of the championship, the first man to do it since then. Fantastic drive by Justas. Very astute indeed. The Lithuanian, of course, taking another race win and set himself up quite nicely because it's a three-way battle for second, I believe, as well in terms of the championship standings. Certainly for the drivers, Justas though wins. Izzer in second, by far his best race of the season by an absolute mile. Really good performance from him. Nathan in third in the Aston Martin. Good drive from him. Neo in fourth. Rocco in fifth. Wouter there in sixth. Larkin in seventh. Repaz in eighth. Daniel ninth. Jensen ran off the top 10, and look at how close them two were. Only 100th of a second separating them both at the end of the race. Dylan there in 11th. Campbell rounding off the points in 12th. However, of course, with Verstappen's position, I think Dylan is P12. Campbell is outside of the points. So that's what we'll probably have to try and find out. Montana 13th. Juman 14th. Gilbream in 15th. Wasn't his race at all. Verstappen there in 16th. We think he's around 8th. Cantera and Luca, though, both DNFing out of the race at various stages. But fantastic racing by all. We've got a lot of time tonight. Shall we get the top 3 in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, James, what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to head off because I've got some issues here in real life, so I'm going to have to quickly sort out before I'm racing. I'm awfully sorry to leave you be.
Yeah, no worries at all.
It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next week, my man. But good luck with the interviews.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining me in the commentary box as well. Hopefully the issues get themselves sorted out. But we'll wait, of course, for our top 3 men to come into the party. I'm going to go blue screen and see if they've been added, because I think I'll have to add them myself, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look. Yes, I will have to be 2 minutes. You will probably hear me on a blue screen, but this is the blue screen that you will see. So I need the top 3, and of course they were Justas. Remind me, by the way, if I invite somebody that I don't. It was Justas. Hang on, I can do this a lot easier. Right. top 3. Nathan was 3rd. Neo was 4th. It was Justas. There's Justas. And who finished 2nd again? Hang on, I need to check this myself because this is terrible. 2nd was Izza. Hopefully Izza might be able to join. I can't see him in terms... Oh, there he is in terms of the interviews. But hopefully we'll get all 3 of them in. They have been added all to the party. We can now go black off blue screen and you can see the lovely screen once again. Fantastic race though in Japan. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some fantastic racing, of course, in the season finale in Brazil in just a week's time. And then, of course, the 24 hours of F1. That will come up shortly after, a week after, in fact. And I will be commentating, I don't know what on at the minute, but I will certainly be there to try and widen some of the load in terms of the commentators, and hopefully it is going to be a fantastic event. Of course, 2 great charities, which I will inform you about, of course, next week more in detail. But we, of course, wait for our top 3 to come into the party. Nobody may want an interview with me just doing the interviews here tonight, but hopefully we might get at least 1 person in, which would be good. But fantastic race, ball. Justas, of course, taking the win. And a real fantastic race, I've got to say. Good, astute drive. Certainly a fantastic drive from him. And Justas, of course, very good. Izza there just joining the party. There is Nathan as well. Hopefully we might hear from our race winner. Of course, that is Justas. We'll give him about a minute or so to join. And then we can continue on with the interviews for the 2nd and 3rd. I would ask Mark for my driver of the day, but sadly he's gone. So he's left me all on the lurch by myself. How typical. Absolute terrible. But anyways, we will wait for Justas. We'll give him another minute or so. It might be the case. I think he didn't join last week for the interviews, if I'm not mistaken. And I know we finished a little bit late last week, and I think we didn't do any last week, so that's why. Yeah, I don't think he's going to join either, to be honest, which is a bit of a shame. But we will move on to the man who finished in P2, of course, and that is Izza. Izza, your first podium of the season. It must feel very, very good.
Just to correct you, it's the 2nd. I got 1 in pre-season, so I don't know if that counts. But yeah, it feels good finally, especially after last week. I was going to get a podium, but I got that penalty. So it feels good.
It feels good because I think your best previous finish this season was 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a big jump up in terms of the performance. But talk us through your race because you seemed really at home with the circuit.
Yeah. I mean, from the start of the race, I was kind of just hoping for at best P2 because I know Justas is really quick around here, and he's on the wheel, so that's like a really big advantage here. So the whole time it was just me trying to keep ahead of who was behind me, freaking Neo and Nathan. And then Justas just went out of DRS zone like after 2 laps. I was like, what the fuck, that's quick. And then Neo was all up in my gearbox. And I don't know if he made a mistake, but I went out of DRS after a few laps. And then after that, it was kind of a challenge just to stay ahead of that 1 second window. And the whole time I saw Nathan behind me. I was like, damn dude, are you gonna make a move or what? And then I didn't know what lap to pit, so I was like, I'm just gonna copy Justas because like yeah, I think he knows what he's doing, and so did the guy behind me. And after that pit stop, it was just kind of in a rhythm, I guess, until that safety car kind of scared me because I didn't know how fast the soft runners were gonna be, but I think they were stuck in traffic, so that helped a lot. And Justas really did me dirty on that restart. The guy just went immediately.
Yeah, he did go. Go on.
Yeah, he just went like without warning. Like I was like, dude, we're teammates, man. You gotta help each other. But I forgot that is against LOE rules. We are not teammates. So yeah, I'm just glad that we did a 1, 2, 3 podium. I think that's the first time this season, yeah.
Yeah, it is the first time this season that Relentless have been first, second, and third. I know you're going to have a very happy team owner, certainly. I wish it was a team's championship because obviously you prefer the first 3 positions. It's not, but still, P2 from your perspective. Talk us through that safety car period though, because at one point you were a second behind Justas. Did you think that you had any sort of chance at the win?
But I had no fucking chance. What do you mean? It's Justas. I settled for P2 honestly, because I don't think I even had the pace. Even if I was in DRS race, I don't think I could have passed him and stayed ahead. So it was just me keeping it on the track, avoiding the curbs and stuff. Yeah, that was my race.
Yeah, it was still a solid drive though, finishing of course in P2, best finish of the season. One final race to come though, in Brazil. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
I haven't done a big race in Brazil, so I don't know. So I'm just hoping for a good points finishing and to boost my standings in the power rankings, because that's what means most to me, and not the Div 1 standings.
Yeah, I think certainly. I think you're now, if I'm not mistaken, possibly top 10 in the standings. If I'm not mistaken, no, actually, no, you're not. I'm just getting ahead of myself completely, but it's the best result of the season, so you can take that with you, of course. You picked up previously your best result last week, in fact, in Baku, so you can take that second position and go on merrily with it. But go and enjoy your evening, Izza.
What?
I'm saying go and enjoy your evening.
Oh, yeah, thanks, you too.
You're very welcome indeed. And now we'll move on, of course, to a man who finished in P3. It is Relentless Nathan. Nathan, backing up, of course, your previous podium finishes in Russia and in Hungary, and of course that win in Portimao. Talk us through the race, because again, similar to Izza, it didn't seem like you had the pace early on.
No, Japan, I mean, well, it's always been known as the wheel track, and thankfully it wasn't. Which was surprising, but I think a lot of people were like trying to do medium soft, whether it was intentional or not. Obviously, I think most of the kind of wheel drivers ended up doing it, and then the safety car was, was just a bit of an issue. But yeah, I mean the race, obviously quali, I was actually very shocked, because I'd done next to no practice for it. So I was expecting to do like a 0.4, I think it was, and then obviously just pulled out a 0.9 out of nowhere. But yeah, I was happy obviously to start in the top 5, and then yeah, the race, I mean, it was kind of just a case of trying to not crash, because that was kind of the main like issue going into it. But yeah, it was, I mean the pace, obviously Justas, I mean, it was incredible. Like, fair play on the win. Obviously, Izza had really good pace, and like me and Neil were just like discussing it. We were like, we just need to kind of just stick in Izzat's DRS, which I think we did up until the pit stops, and then obviously I think Izzat came ahead of Montana. And then from then, even after the safety car, like neither of us just had pace to like keep up with Izzat. So yeah, obviously in the end, just had to overtake Neo. Which obviously with DRS and ERS wasn't a problem, and obviously we were focusing on constructors because I don't think we're too far past now. So yeah, very happy with a podium after what can only be described as the worst run of results you could see since Portimao.
No, honestly, you're really astute, I think, in terms of your performance tonight. It was a solid drive, finishing in P3. But as you mentioned, about that Constructors' battle, of course, Verstappen, we think, finished P8. There was a bit of a glitch at the end of the race. We think he finished around P7, P8, and he went a lap down, but obviously he's going to be awarded that position. But in terms of the Constructors, you're now, I think, less than 20 points off Haas going into the final round of the season. So, with that being said, are you going to get them next week?
I mean, you know, it's obvious. I mean, it's QVR, like... no, I mean, well, I hope I can race, because there's a big possibility I might not be able to. But obviously, I mean, Brazil is a really good track, so I hope I can, and yeah, obviously we'll see what me and Nia can do. But, I mean, I think we may have secured top 3 already, I'm not too sure which. Yep. I mean, that was kind of our aim, and then if we could get P2, because obviously no one's going to touch Mercedes, because they're just miles clear. But yeah, I mean, if we can get P2 then it's a bonus, but I think overall, I mean, we've both had a win. And I think Neo's had 2 or 3 podiums, and obviously I think this is my 4th podium now, so yeah, obviously look forward to next season.
Yeah, I think honestly you've outscored Red Bull obviously tonight, so that confirms that you are at least P3 in the standings, which is fantastic to see. And obviously it was an absolute solid drive. I think as well with Justas winning, Ferrari have overtaken Red Bull, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the constructors' standings. So yeah, Ferrari, I think with that win, scored obviously more points than both Red Bulls. I believe, if not, it's a couple of points off, but if not, then they are fourth now in terms of the constructors. But obviously going into Brazil next week, you said you might not be able to make it. If you are going to make it though, how do you think you're going to get on around there? Because you have had a history of actually doing a little bit well, I think, around there.
Yeah, I mean last time the inner George Russell came out, so you never know. It might come back again for Brazil. But yeah, I mean, Brazil's always it's nice to drive, and it's also a pad track, which always helps. But no, in this game, the wheel track favours the pad, and the pad track favours the wheel. So yeah, I think just another consistent performance. I mean, tonight I obviously didn't expect anything, and just went into it with if I don't crash, then it's a successful evening, and we've come out of it with a podium. So yeah, will be interesting to see. Hopefully, let's say P4, sure.
P4, quite interesting. Hopefully I'm not going to make an appearance like I did with AI mode, 2 seasons ago now? And I was nearly in the points? The absolute joys around Brazil. That's the only time I'll be getting into Division 1 and LOE. But Nathan, go and enjoy your evening.
Cheers, thank you very much for comms.
You are very welcome indeed. And obviously with Justas not joining, that is the end of the interviews tonight. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the stream. If you did, of course, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell. Of course, if you are new, there is more action to come from the Japanese circuit, from Suzuka, in around 15 minutes time, just underneath that. Division 2 and Division 5, of course, will be live. It is J. Cole and Daniel Hoggard taking you to the action, of course, for Division 2. And for Division 5, it is either Bryn Mike and Tin Can, I'm tempted to say.
Yes.
I've got that right for the first time this season. Fantastic. Anyways, of course, more action to come. Division 2 and Division 5 in around 13 minutes time in terms of the action there. But hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell. Of course, if you are new. And that is the end of the stream. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.